Welcome back to Your Life and Legacy. Loving what you're watching? Don't miss a moment of Your Life and Legacy or any of your favorite Now Media shows, live or on demand, anytime, anywhere. Download the free Now Media TV app on Roku or iOS and enjoy instant access to our full lineup of bilingual programming, both in English and Spanish. Prefer to listen on the go? Catch the podcast version of the show right on Now Media TV's website at nowmedia.tv. In this closing segment, we're talking about one of the deepest questions. What really matters? Too often, people measure life by money, numbers, business. But Darrell, you've taught that true success is measured by value, services, and legacy. The challenge is shifting away from shallow metrics of, success towards, something deeper to something lasting and measurable. So let's pick up where we left off. Instead of chasing the numbers, what really matters to Darrell?
For me, I mean, it's my kids first, then my wife. I know some people that's controversial, right? But my kids don't survive without me. My wife will be just fine without me, okay? And so I put my kids first, and now once they're 18, then my focus will shift, right? And then it's my relationship. My faith is obviously in there because I think it's important that that gives you a ground, that gives you like a foundation to focus on. And then it's becoming that servant leader of understanding and teaching, training, coaching, talking about, right? Is showing people that you need to be a better way. And I like starting at the business aspect because I think there's some things that are missing. Like for one, when I deal with owners and things of that nature is, do your people scream from the rooftops they love where they work? Well, that's a direct reflection, right? So how do we show them the care, the concern, the empathy, the grace to where if people don't love where they're at, why would your customers want to do business with you? And so it's really understanding for me outside of my core, right? My family, my kids, everything else is people. People are the most important things. Time is one of the most important things. Money is a scorecard, right? And so if we relevant to sports is, yeah, money's a scorecard, right? So if you're making it, okay, that's the score. But that's about as far as it is because I've seen people that live paycheck to paycheck happier than they've ever been. And then I've seen people with an absorbent amount of money, miserable. And we always make the joke, like, I mean, I still make it. Like if I would have hit the Powerball, right? And I would have been independently wealthy, like, oh, that would have solved all your problems. It doesn't. It just brings different ones.
No,
And
that's right. Well, you and I talked about how you've been through various seasons in life. You've gone from high income jobs to, but you had no time traveling everywhere, always at the whim of others to where you're at today. So tell our viewers that life journey and, what it was like and where you're at today and why today is so much better.
Well, and I think, yeah, I mean, that's great. Is like as a kid, my mom moved around everywhere. No, we weren't in the military. My mom she dated a lot of people, and wherever they went, that's where she went. But it was highly abusive. We were homeless. We were in shelters. We were in a lot of different, like, not so great situations. And I eventually ended up in foster care. I got a great foster family. Finished high school, just short of all the accolades, but a 3.9. Went to college, went in the military. So I made it to, as a kid, it was rough. I didn't get to really be a kid, right? Like I didn't get that, but as an adult, it was also like, I wouldn't take it back because it also is a reflection of understanding what hard times look like. So if I lost my business, if I lost my job and everything else, I know what it looks like to eat top ramen and macaroni and cheese, and that's the only thing you can afford. And making the best of those situations. I don't want to do that, right? If I have a choice, but it's understanding the people around you, your circle. And then as I worked a business, I was working a job making probably about $500,000 a year. As some would say in the auto industry, I was on the gravy train with biscuit wheels. I was doing everything right. I was working hard. Never saw my kids. Never saw my wife. Didn't see my friends. Had tons of money, right? Have bought houses. Now I make 35% of that, maybe before taxes. I get to be in my kid's life every single day, which was my dream. My dream was to be a dad because I didn't have one, right? So I get to be in my kid's life. It's so rewarding. And yeah, are there things I can't do because I don't have all the money? Sure. But I also kind of prescribe to, if anybody knows Gary V, right? Is we also don't need as much as we like to buy, right? Really important things. And
Correct.
so I really changed focus, and I realized what it was in 15 years of, well, actually 20 years in the auto industry, but it was in 2012. Yeah, 2012, I think, where I said I chose my family over my career, which was tough because I had been for the first 12 and a half years
So
was.
tell me some of those things you do with the kids, because I think the things you do with your kids today, the things you do with your wife today, because you've made that time, are very practical ways for somebody to track their progress in life beyond business and money.
Yeah, so my kids, like any other parent in today's society, when I can rip them away from an electronic, okay, or video game,
Yeah, right.
we go hikes. I've got them into hiking a little bit. We do kayaking and paddleboarding every other weekend or so. We do trips. So, like, here's a crazy one for people: birthdays. Instead of doing birthday parties and everything else, if they want it, they can choose that. But instead of doing presents and constantly having stuff, we do trips. So my kids just happen to, my two younger kids happen to have birthdays about a month and a half apart from each other. And so we do a trip every single year instead of presents, because now they get an experience, they get a memory, right? And we do something different. Same thing with my wife. We hiking, kayaking, we travel, and we want those experiences so that our kids can realize, like, it's not about things. It's about time. It's about experiences. Things come and go, and in all fairness, when you're kids, you get a toy, you get a something, and then by 6 months from now, you're on to something else. So, but those experiences.
Your kids lasted 6 months with
No,
that
no,
stuff.
no.
I was waiting for you to say
Yeah,
six
maybe
days,
six
right?
days, right?
You know?
I was being objectively hopeful 6 months. But like we took them, like, and I'll give you guys a quick story. We took them to Mexico for their birthday trip. We went down to Playa del Carmen, and we took them to the underwater caves and the like race course and the zip lines.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
cenotes.
cenotes.
How cool.
And my 9-year-old, and mind you, we did that 2 years ago. He still talks about it every time they ask him for a um like a project or what his favorite memory is. They immediately go back to that. Like, and he said he wants to show the pictures and everything else. So it's a really cool thing of like, those are what really matters and grounds you, is when you have those experiences and can look back on them, and you can, and they say like, well, what'd you get for your birthday? My dad took me on a trip. We went here, we went here. They're super excited, and it resonates 2 years
Yeah, we
later.
went to
Yeah.
Mexico. Right. So, often people rely on their faith to measure the deeper things in life. And, I've heard, I love the fact that many times throughout the show today, you've mentioned that servant leadership. And I can really tell that that is part of your, love, service, and character. Just kind of give us some more examples of time with that your family, and even in business, perhaps, where that servant leadership is at the core of who Darrell is.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest example I can say is that, like, things that I don't have to do, but I want to do because it's there to serve, it's to give back to the community. So like, my middle son is in freshman football, right? So the football team, they need volunteers. I volunteered for every game that I could be available for. When they go on field trips, I'm the first one to volunteer. If they need me, great. If they don't, right? It's fine.
I love that.
Um,
I really do.
and don't think that I'm doing this, guys, because I feel guilt or anything else. If you've been around 40 screaming 9-year-olds, this is not something that's on the top of my exciting list. But I want to make sure that there's someone there that's going to have fun with them, right? And then when it comes to like my clients or my family,
They're going to remember that you were there also,
they will
which is
remember.
so
But I
important.
also want in an age that we see that a lot of kids have fractured homes or they don't have a dad in the picture, which is what I dealt with when I was younger. Is I want them to be able to see that there's like that positive role model too, not just for them, but for other kids, so that they know that there's that. So like I actually have I've been asked to be a father for a couple people, which is a huge honor to me. But I'm also like the adopted dad to a lot of guys because they don't have that, right? And so it's serving those people, because at the end of the day, when I didn't have those things, it was a catapult of making sure people don't have to go through that same type of situation. When it comes to clients, if you call me, my phone's on from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. If you call me, I'm going to answer, because I highly doubt you're calling me just to like chop it up. So it's like letting them know
Right.
that if you need something, text me, call me, whatever it may be. I'm going to make you a priority, because that's what I want them to see, is it's okay to be that. It doesn't take away from anything I do. And if I'm not available, I'll tell you I'm not available. It's also being okay with telling people no. Like, I'll serve you, but I also have to make sure I have to, like, I block that time away from my family. I block that time away from, and so it's really balancing all those things in life. But at the end of the day, every time I get to hear somebody or I get to see someone grow, right? If I hear it, then obviously it's true. But when you see it, it's so rewarding to say, like, man, look at the person who barely could perform, or they said they were going to fire if they couldn't get it together. And because you spent time with them, like, they've gotten better. So like one client particularly, they pay for weekly sessions, right? Coaching sessions. We do it with their whole team. But I've had 7 of their people reach out to me for individual sessions. There's no additional charge. I just want to help them get better.
That is, you are demonstrating perfectly the way you live in that servant leadership. Darrell, this has been an amazing time together. Great conversations. I can't tell you how privileged I feel to have gotten to know you and share all of this with our viewers. Tell our viewers one more time where it is they can connect with you.
So yeah, I have a website, smartwolfconsulting.com. Also one that's autostreetsmarts.com. But the easiest way, guys, is go to social media, whether you're LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Either type in Darrell Steed or Smart Wolf Consulting. You'll find me, and drop me a line. I'm available anytime, and I will always make time for you.
Darrell, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your wisdom. What we've been learning is that building trust, choosing steady growth, finding peace in tough decisions, and measuring what is truly matters are the foundations of leaving a legacy worth remembering. For our viewers, I encourage you to reflect on these ideas. What are you measuring in your life, and does it truly reflect the legacy you want to leave? I'm Chris Nudo, and this has been Your Life and Legacy on Now Media TV. Until next time, keep building a legacy that lasts.